Hey everybody, it's Monday, July 6th, and today's lesson is titled Proclaiming the Risen Christ. It was early Sunday morning, and the two Marys hastily made their way to the tomb of Christ. They were not going to ask him for anything. What could a dead man possibly give them? The last time they saw him, his body was bloodied, bruised, and broken. The scenes of the cross were deeply etched in their minds. Now, they were simply doing their duty. Sorrowfully, they made their way to the tomb to embalm his body. The gloomy shadows of despondency engulfed their lives in the darkness of despair. The future was uncertain and offered little hope. When they arrived at the tomb, they were startled to find it empty. Matthew records the events of that resurrection morning in these words. But the angel answered and said to the woman, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you seek Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he is risen." The women were now overwhelmed with joy. Their dark clouds of sadness faded into the sunlight of the dawning of resurrection morning. Their night of sadness was over. Gladness graced their countenances, and songs of rejoicing replaced their tears of lament. Let's read Mark chapter 16, verse 1 through 11. What was Mary's response when she discovered Christ was risen from the dead? When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome bought spices so that they might go to anoint Jesus' body. Very early in the morning, on the first day of the week, just after sunrise, they were on their way to the tomb. And they asked each other who will roll the stone away from the entrance of the tomb. But when they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had been rolled away. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe, sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. "Don't be alarmed," he said. "You are looking for Jesus the Nazarene who was crucified. He has risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him. But go tell his disciples and Peter, he is going ahead of you in Galilee. There you'll see him just as he told you." Trembling and bewildering, the women went out and fled from the tomb. They said nothing to anyone because they were afraid. Verse 9. When Jesus rose early on the first day of the week, he appeared first to Mary Magdalene, out of whom he had driven 7 demons. She went and told those who had been with him and who were mourning and weeping. When they heard that Jesus was alive and that she had seen him, they did not believe it. After Mary met the resurrected Christ, she ran to tell the story. Good news is for sharing, and she could not be silent. Christ was alive. His tomb was empty, and the world must know it. After we, too, meet the resurrected Christ along the highway of life, we, too, must run to tell the story. For good news is for sharing. How fascinating, too, that despite all the times Jesus had told them what would happen, that he would be killed and then resurrected, the disciples, the ones who Jesus specifically chose, refused to believe Mary's testimony. Mark 16:11 says, "And when they heard that he was alive and had been seen by her, they did not believe it." Thus, even if Jesus' own disciples didn't immediately believe, we shouldn't be surprised if others don't immediately accept our words. Questions to think about for today. When was the last time you were rebuffed in your own witness? in your witness? How did you respond, and what have you learned from that experience? That's Monday. I'll see you tomorrow.